If I could give you one piece of advice, if you're looking forward to a movie coming out, or you're worried about a movie, or anything in between, it's this. Do not put too much stock into test screenings. What's up, everybody? It's Nick here at the Lost River Drive-In, and I felt compelled to make a video on this topic because I've been seeing this make its rounds online, and it's just been really starting to piss me off. And it's starting to piss me off for a number of reasons. But let's run this down. The Exorcist Believer had its first test screening the other night in New York City, and the reactions were not overwhelmingly positive, but it's being totally blown out of proportion, and it's honestly gotten to the point where it's kind of corny. First of all, I spoke to somebody that was at that test screening, and I gauged their reaction to the movie. They did not think the movie was bad. If you go onto Letterboxd or you read some of these things on Twitter from people that were there or the general sentiment, people aren't saying the movie was bad. They're not saying it was a travesty. They are saying it was too long and it wasn't very scary. So at the end of the day, that's like what? Meh? Okay, so then why are we getting all these headlines? And why are people preying on this movie's downfall? Let's kind of dig into a little bit here. So I've seen a lot of reactions from people going like, oh, well, I expected this. You know, it's David Gordon Green. He totally ruined my childhood and my entire life because he made Michael Myers something that I didn't like. And now I hope that everything he does fails. First of all, you're weird. Go outside and touch grass. Second of all, this is kind of funny because did you guys know that none of David Gordon Green's Halloween movies and his trilogy got negative test screening reactions? Halloween 2018, overwhelmingly positive. Well, actually, it was negative, and then they changed the ending and overwhelmingly positive. Halloween Kills, pretty positive. I actually spoke to two people that were at test screenings. And then Halloween Ends, pretty positive. Actually, one of the podcasts I listened to, one of the guys was at one of the test screenings for Halloween Ends, and he talked about the general sentiment from everybody leaving that one and talked about the comment card that he filled out and everything like that. So if you think that that is indicative of this being a bad movie because of his Halloween trilogy that you might not have liked, there's no correlation there whatsoever. Those movies tested well. And so if you didn't like those movies, well, I mean, this not testing super well its first time doesn't mean you're not going to like this movie. Maybe it's the polar opposite. But anyway, again, where are we getting these headlines from? Why are people misconstruing this? Well, it's people with an agenda. I mean, look, it can be politics, it can be religion, it can be whatever. Everybody has an agenda at the end of the day. Or, even if you don't have an agenda, you are surrounded at all times by media, by people that do have an agenda. And that agenda comes through in their work. And in these websites, with no journalistic integrity, might I add, because one, this is not Variety, this is not Deadline, this is not The Wrap. These are websites I'd never heard about. I mean, we're talking like giant freaking robot websites, which, I mean, come on, you already know, if you know that website, that you should not take them seriously whatsoever. But it's a clickbait headline. They're putting a headline out there to kind of validate those that said, you should never touch The Exorcist, this movie's going to suck, I hated David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. That's what this headline is for. It's to drive traffic. It's not because it's accurate whatsoever. If you click on one of these headlines or one of these articles and with that headline and you read the article, you'll see that they're like, oh, you know, the general sentiment is just that it's too long and it's not super scary. Okay, so where'd you get the headline that it totally bombed from? Oh, I get it. You're trying to get clicks because that's revenue. Cool. So I get that, I guess, especially from websites that aren't really known all that well, so I guess I can't hate on them for that. But who I can hate on are the people taking this and running with it and thinking that this means that this movie's going to be terrible. Click on the article. Read the article. Read the article first before you go, see, I knew it. At the very worst, it's like a very muted reaction to its first test screening, not an overwhelmingly negative one. So guys, it only takes a few seconds to click and read. If you can read, I advise you to do so. On top of that, test screenings are there for a reason. This is not the finished product. This is not the final version of the film. This is to gauge where they are and what people think of where they are at this point. If people aren't super big into it, reshoots, baby. They're done for almost every major motion picture, especially one in such an iconic franchise with so much riding on the line here, because this is billed as a trilogy, the start of one. So you better make some money and deliver with this first one, or Amazon, Peacock, whoever the hell it was that bought it, is going to be pretty salty. So, guys, it is such a non-starter. It is not even a conversation. Like, I feel like at times people get bored and they really want to create a narrative and they really just want to roll with it. And this seems to be the newest one. Again, if you're a fan of The Exorcist or The Exorcist 3, which are the only two good ones in my opinion, but maybe you have a soft spot for 2 or Dominion or whatever it may be, wouldn't you want to see this movie be good? I'm not sitting here telling you that this movie is going to be good, nor am I sitting here telling you you're not allowed to be pessimistic about this movie. If you didn't watch all the way up to this point and you're commenting right now telling me that I'm just, I'm on hopium or whatever the hell you want to say, I implore you to, I hope you finished and I hope you're listening right now and going, shit, I need to delete that comment that I'm typing, because I'm giving you the right to reserve judgment and say, I don't know if this is going to be good. I'm not super excited for this. That's totally fine. Totally fine. What's not fine is going, I hope this movie sucks. Because if you actually love the first movie or any of the movies in the series, this movie exists, and it's coming out whether you want it to or not. So knowing that it is an inevitability, wouldn't you want it to be good? Like, I don't know. Like, wouldn't you hope that it's at least decent so it's not a waste of your time and it doesn't tarnish the iconic first film? Like, wouldn't you want that? I don't know. I can't think like a cornball does. I just don't do that. I'm not that corny. I do touch grass every now and then. But it fires me up because, look, guys, I did happen to like the Halloween trilogy, mainly kills and ends, but I did like it for what it was. And I think David Gordon Green has proven he's a very talented filmmaker. And The Exorcist is a totally different animal than Halloween. I totally understand why people are like, it never needed to be touched. It shouldn't have been touched. I can hear you out on that, and I will not argue with you. I mean, it's a seminal film. It's a classic. But it's happening, and I want it to be good. And I'm hoping that even if the reactions are meh right now, that they use this time for reshoots to make it great. Hoping for anything else is just so weird. Like, every movie has its audience. And I think the more product we have out in the world, the better. Because it's always going to find an audience and it's always going to make somebody happy. And I will never root for the downfall of everyone that creates a film that some people are really going to love. Good for them. It's not for me, but good for them. Skinamarink, for example. I hated that film. I thought it was boring. I thought it was a chore. But I have friends that really enjoyed that movie. And I know there's a lot of people that really enjoyed that movie. And good for them. And good for the filmmaker for doing that, putting that, pen to paper and then putting it behind a camera and making it happen. Good for you. I will never root for your downfall. Guys, it's simple. Be weary of clickbait. Stop reading so much into freaking test screenings, especially when they're being misrepresented online. And please, for the love of God, stop being so corny and hoping that movies suck because you have an agenda that you're trying to push. It's annoying. But comment down below and let me know what you guys think of all of this. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And check me out on Patreon. I've got 2 new uploads coming tonight and tomorrow. So thank you so much. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I am pulling out.